Hey, Mandy.
Hello.
Awesome. Got you logged in. What are we working on?
Can it be for the 338 one?
Oh, yeah, yeah. Whatever you want to work.
Um, it will be like the case study paper.
Oh,
Um,
let me re-log you. Uh, okay. What are we doing?
it's a paper on a kid observation 4.
Okay.
Um, I haven't written the thing out yet, but I presented it yesterday in class of the presentation, but I haven't written the paper of it yet of my observation.
Okay. Cool. Yeah, let's take a look at it.
This is the rubric.
Um, Introduction, purpose, observation, data. Okay. So, candidate provides information, introduction to case study, inclusion, age, uses the pseudonym, highlights family, cultural background, gender, and setting of observation. Clearly describes the purpose of conducting the case study. Candidate clearly and adequately describes the observation tools. Okay, and candidate specifies, you could keep scrolling forward.
Yes.
So, and then keep going. Describes activity, spelling, models, standard English, convention, and then keep going.
Okay.
Okay, cool. Okay, cool.
Ye-
Seems like a pretty in-depth assignment.
yes. Yes. Yes.
Where are you at in the process with it?
I presented the presentation of it.
Uh-huh.
I I can show the presentation of what I have.
Okay.
It is loading for the
Okay.
PowerPoint. Only one. Boy, I said only one. Why are you going through my bag? You still a shit. I'm a chair here.
Still not seeing anything. Did I lose you, man?
I'm still here. It's still loading.
Okay.
Okay, it's done loading. Um, this is what I have. You see, this is like the second slide of my
Okay.
presentation.
Cool. And Eric isn't his real name, right?
Yeah, it's the fake name, but the birthday is real. For the info, some of the info here, uh, I so-called have asked some mom to answer some, and the auntie to answer similar questions. But I did get the questions back from my interview kind of questions until like today, this morning. So what I have here for the parent part is like based off what I got from the teacher.
Okay.
Yeah. So that part about the parent part, it kind of still true, but the language maybe not sure if he speaks another language, but most of it should be correct. But the therapist part, I how I know it's a speech one was because I asked the therapist
Okay.
that afternoon and asked her what kind of therapist she was. So that might be true or not, but that might be also true. But yeah, this is kind of what I have for the kid so far. And then this is what I kind of saw from when I was observing the kid. That he had problem like have he easily distracted and have problems listening to like directions for that.
Okay. I just noticed on there you'll easily distract. Make sure to that.
For this one.
Yeah. It's good so far. Very well, very visually pleasing presentation.
Yeah. I kind of choose the theme because it was what they were learning last month too.
Okay.
And then this is what I would because of that, there his not really listening. I thought maybe I'll just observe his like cognitive development. And I did like what I think what I was in the first maybe this slide or the other slide, other two slides. I did mention why I kind of chose him because he kind of gave me some similarities of my younger brothers of the way he acts. He
Okay.
he reminds me of them. Yeah. So that was kind of like my explanation in somehow choosing him because I see some similarities in my brother in him. Because one of my brother does like have kind of the way he is kind of easily distracted and not really listening. So that's why I kind of like saw some similarities there. So that's why I have mentioned that as why I chose the kid because I don't have a slide for that. I just said that when I was either one of these three slides, I think maybe this one. And then I did so-called the interview questions. Um and then those notes was like kind of like from the observation.
Okay.
And then with the observation part, I did so-called with the notes, that notes up there, the second bullet point here, and then occasionally took some pictures of like how he was working on some activities. That's part of the observation part, and but what? Yeah, I got that. Yeah, that one. That's the so-called the type of assessment tools I use for the observation part of the kid. These three here, or like two-ish three here, and then this is about my observation, and I had observed him 3 times on a Friday. And I did mention that I kind of like observed him like during on the Tuesdays when I'm there for my clinical too, during this part. And I did so far said what I have here, that directions will be repeated, and then he gets easily distracted, and then he does forget. He's sometimes very not very forgetful, but like he forgets to write his name because like one or two activities I did see him forget to write his name on his activity worksheet. And then I have told him, remember to write your name because for this kid, he's at the daycare on campus. We don't really call him by his name. We call him by his nickname. So, but he needs to write his real name on the paper. He occasionally forgets to write his name on the paper. So that was part of the forgetting. But I didn't really mention about the nickname part when I was like thinking about the forgetting his name. And then I had mentioned about the dinosaurs. Oh, like he likes dinosaurs and he knows the names. And then about the Pokemons, he also don't know the names because he brings some Pokemon toys. And then I asked him because I kind of know some of the Pokemon toy characters. He brought a different like other than the Pikachu, it was a Charmander. Those kind of like evolved version. He knows the names of those. So I said here mentioned there for the Pokemon here. And then this is so-called what I got for the result.
Okay.
And I was saying that what I got from the interview questions, the answers I saw, is kind of like similar to what I saw in the classroom when I was there. And like it seems like from what I saw, what I finally kind of knew in some ways the therapist the little kid is seeing is a speech therapist.
Okay.
And then I mentioned maybe for the parent to maybe see, because the teacher did say he he kind of moves a little bit. He's like when he's sitting, he will try to sit. He have hard time sitting,
Gotcha.
and like he would be sitting, and then all of a sudden he's off the chair, kind of stuff like that. Maybe try to, and he's emotional sometimes too. So see maybe see also another kind of therapist to help with his emotions and behaviors because he does listen, but needs help in some ways with listening. Yeah, like yeah,
Okay.
he just needs gentle redirections and stuff. He he sometimes gets frustrated over anything. Yeah, and then I was like saying that maybe he could see another one to see if it will help with him because he's like he just turned 5 in February, so he might need that when he goes to kindergarten next this coming August or September for this kid. So maybe another therapist as like a for the parent. But I didn't say anything about the teacher because next year she won't see the kid no more. So I didn't say anything about the teacher because he's got to be in kindergarten for here. So yeah.
Cool.
And then this is my conclusion. So like as everything.
Okay.
He did so-called say he found some of the activities he was doing easy. He found said it was easy. He said the syllables were easy, like counting syllables, and then counting like 1 to 5 or like 1 to 20. He found that easy. And then I had said that he also tried to help some classmates, and that he plays with everyone, but like he occasionally is only playing with one of the two twins in the classroom. And but he mainly played with everyone in the classroom, and he's a happy kid, and I had fun observing him. And then he did say some stuff was hard when it was like sorting. to put it in the right place. And then when he was tracing a shape like a heart, he found it hard, and he was starting to like feel angry. The emotions was getting to him. And then I think the previous little slides I did say about the emotions that that when he was so-called one time when I saw him, he was one of his classmates was like doing sorting. It was like one was doing under homes was the topic, and then one was doing seasons. They had found a seal picture, and then they weren't sure where it goes, either in ocean or winter, but it belongs in the ocean. The kids have said it goes to winter, and then and that they were like arguing about it, and then he started to get emotional over it. He was about to shed a tear, and I had asked him, "Are you okay?" And then yeah, he was like, he's emotional in some ways over very simple things too. Yeah, and about the not really listening, he needs to repeated the directions a few more times, and then kind of be redirected when doing stuff. He'd be like very easily distracted by his classmates. That's where the distraction mainly come from. His classmates. Yeah. And then this Padlet thing is kind of like more of this. Yeah. This is also part of it. It's kind of like just a continuation of what I saw. I can show you that too. It is loading right now. Okay. Okay. Yeah, and then I was supposed to have some comments from a classmate, so that's why there's some comments here. And then this one here was like so-called my last observation that third time. About him emotional over the seal for these. The seal was supposed to be over here. That bluish thing over there. It was the seal. It was supposed to be over there, not here in the winter. It was. Yeah, he got emotional over that. Yeah. Yeah. So I'm not sure how would I start the paper in some ways.
Okay, so I would always let's take a look back at that format.
Okay. Because when I so-called did this assignment as a whole to do the observation part, I was not even sure what I was really kind of looking for in some ways because I was free to choose what I am looking for, those domains and the assessment tools. So I was somewhat confused in some ways when I was doing this whole assignment. Yeah.
Okay. I mean, first for the organization, I would just follow this rubric as closely as possible. So obviously, yeah, starting with the introduction, going over things like family, cultural, linguistic background, gender, vote, and setting. Candidate clearly describes the purpose for conducting the case study, focusing on the child's function in a specific domain. and then relates the domain to other domains. Candidate clearly demonstrates understanding that the domain of learning and development are interrelated. So what do you have for that one?
Oh, I think for this one is I don't I kind of chose the cognitive,
Okay.
and then at the same time I have mentioned about the social emotion in some ways, like the emotion part.
Okay. Cool. Yeah. So it sounds like you kind of have those domains picked out. Uh, cool. So yeah, just like going through that. Sounds like you kind of have that one. And then next one for observation. Candidate clearly and adequately describes the observation tool and approach used. Uh, checklist, rate scale. The types of data collected are described. What are you thinking for that one?
Um, what I have for that on my slide was so-called the questions for the parent and the
Okay.
teacher, for sure.
Okay.
But the other two that I have there, that anecdotal notes and my observation with notes and pictures, I'm not sure about those. Like, is that one or is that two?
It has, diary notes, interaction with the caregiver, whether the candidate interacted with the child, etc. So it sounds like would be included in.
Would those two be okay?
Does that make sense?
I lost my Wi-Fi is getting I didn't hear you.
Oh, okay. So it says like, diary notes, whether candidate interacted with the child.
Mm-hmm.
So it sounds like anything that you recorded, you would include in this section. So I think that your notes would totally count.
Okay, but what is really that note here? This kind of note. What is this? What kind of note is
Oh,
this?
Lucy, man?
Yeah, my Wi-Fi is going in and out. My Wi-Fi is going in and out. Can you hear me?
Now I can hear you. Now you're back.
And my Wi-Fi is going in and out right now.
What were you asking?
About the notes, what kind of notes is this? Can I ask what kind of note this type is?
I think any notes you have. Anecdotal notes. Is that what you're asking?
Yeah, that kind of note. What is that note? What kind of note is that?
That's just like that's just uh just kind of like observation. It means general, basically. Like, that's
It's just a normal type of note. But I think I changed my Wi-Fi connection, so I lost you for a little bit there.
okay. So anything anecdotal basically is a very general term. So it's like all of your observations can be like emotional, fidgety, like any of those observations are anecdotal.
Okay. So what I have mentioned on my little slide that like I have those notes and then observation with notes and pictures are the part about observation and notes and pictures different from those notes then? Or is it the same?
No, everything that you have recorded on it would be, included here. It sounds like this section, your teacher wants like all this stuff all the data collection that you did. And but you're describing it here. So you're describing like your note taking, your interaction, and your approaches. Does that make sense?
For this part? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So like just really just describing what I got from those the things I
Yeah,
used.
like as you watched him, like things like, oh, as I watched him play a game, I was taking notes on his emotional responses. Things like that. You're not necessarily describing the notes themselves, but like how you recorded information.
Okay. Okay. For this
So that
part.
sounds like in your next section, you're going to be talking about what you observed.
Okay.
It says candidate specifies the approaches and analysis that ensured useful information was extracted from the data and correct interpretations were made. Caregiver input informs the data analysis. Positive aspects of the child's development are marked. So this is where you're actually talking about everything you learned and like from your observations and data collection.
So the previous one is just a notes?
It's just talking about how you observed it, how you did this thing. Like, did you take a video? Did you like have him do a quiz? Like talking about did you go through a checklist with the caregiver?
Mm-hmm.
Anything like that, you know?
Okay. Okay.
Ready to keep going?
Yeah, I think so for now. Yes, yes.
Okay, collaborating with parents. Candidate shares assessment results with parents and or caregivers and clearly states how the results can inform interaction with the child in order to foster positive learning that is developmentally appropriate in both age and child's function.
Yes.
What did you do for this one? What are you thinking for this one?
But for this part, I was kind of hard to really collaborate with the parent for me at my end because this kid is a half day kid, so he leaves the daycare at 12:30 or like 12:30 12:30 and the only I don't really get to interact with his mom at all because sometimes it's not his mom picking up, it's the auntie that's part of the daycare. So I don't really get to talk to any really have any interaction other than that when the stuff time of signing the consent form, that was really the only time. And then when I had sent out those questions to the auntie and the mom, the auntie had said that she don't really get to see the kid that much, so it was mainly the mom that will be answering the questions. So it took her a few days. I took her such a to I took a little bit to send out the questions I created with help of Chat GPT. And so that kind of delayed in some ways of really having everything for this presentation and maybe for the paper.
Okay.
So that part, the collaborating part, is for me on my end was a bit hard because I don't get to really see the parent.
Okay. So that's going to be important to include in it, like talking about why, like, you know, the level of collaboration you had, any interaction you had, or, and like, you know, why you haven't been able to.
Mm-hmm.
Also, what you can do is talk about what you would do. You know, you can talk about, like, okay, here is what I would recommend to the parent to foster positive learning. Here's the goals we would set together. So even if you didn't have that interaction, first like talk about the level of interaction you did have, but then talk about what you would do with the parent if you could. Does that make sense?
For this section here?
Yeah. So like, yeah, so like talking about how you would interact with the parent as well, with your observation.
Okay. Okay.
Okay,
Yeah. Okay.
does that help?
Yeah, I think so in some ways. Yes. Yes.
Okay. And then candidate clearly describes specific activities to carry out with the child as a result of the case study findings. The activities target the child's area and ease of use with parent, older sibling, teacher, and also get this child back to learning at appropriate levels. Learning activities have to be attractive to the child. What are you thinking for this one?
Is this kind of like what is it? Ideas for the parent and like for the kid and stuff, or what is this part?
So let's look at acceptable. Sometimes the other ones are like make it a little more clear.
Uh-huh.
So candidate describes activities to carry out with the child based on the case study findings. The activities relate to the child's area of need and are easy to use with parents or old. So yeah, it sounds like you're kind of thinking of activities that you could carry out based on what you found. So if you're like wanting to work on emotional learning, you would think of some activities for that.
So this part is kind of like the emotion, like activities in some
Yeah,
ways.
yeah. Like describing the activities you would do.
Okay. And then would be for like the kid and then like the parent kind of. Would I do the teacher even though the teacher won't really see this kid next year, next school year?
Yeah, yeah. You know, it's like you don't have to necessarily be implementing all this. Like some of it can be hypothetical because it's like
Mm-hmm.
learning. Your goal is to just show that like if you were a teacher, here is what you would do, or if
Uh-huh.
you were the learning expert, here's how you would do it. Even if you're not going to, uh, it's still helpful to kind of describe those processes.
Maybe. Oh, okay. Okay.
Yeah, yeah. It doesn't have to be like for instance, with the collaborating with parents, like even if you aren't able to, it's like you can still talk about what you would do hypothetically.
Oh, okay. Like, if I really had interaction. Okay. Like,
Yeah,
okay.
yeah.
Okay.
Okay, so candidate reflects on the case study process and clearly identifies strong areas of his or own learning and areas that need improvement. Candidate links personal growth to working more effectively and appropriately with young children and learning and assessment. How do you feel about this one?
Is this kind of just reflecting on everything as a whole, right?
And it's like your personal like growth, what you learned, areas that you felt strong in, areas that you didn't feel strong in. This one is very like talking about yourself and your experience throughout this.
Okay, because this there is also another little kind of um little thing similar to this. It's also kind of like a reflection part of this also. Um, it's I think it's kind of like a continuation in some ways of this reflection part. It's
Okay.
kind of still another paper, but it's just a reflection of it.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah. So this one, you're just talking about yourself. This one should be hopefully like an easier section to do.
Yeah, because there's also another one that's kind of like expanding of it. This is that other reflection paper
Okay.
too. There's a part of that kind of not part of it, but it's another assignment, but it's the reflection of it. Is this kind of similar to that then?
Yeah, yeah. This sounds like it's for your entire course.
Mm,
And then the reflection in your paper is going to be specifically for your case study.
so this is different?
Yeah, this is two-page reflection will include what you learned from your case study process, what you learned from sharing ideas using Padlet, etc., what you learned from listening to your classmates, and what you learned from class discussion during presentation. So this is the whole thing. In your paper, it's really just going to be part one. of this.
This is my case study.
Yeah, you're just talking about what you learned from your case study in the
for that other paper thing.
Yeah.
But I don't have to mention about the little other Padlet thing, right? The other than the presentation, that other little thing I kind of like that part, that other thing, that Padlet was kind of like of the observations I did. That's what that was kind of like my notes. That's what
Okay.
that little other website was of. It's like more of my notes.
Yeah, and this is going to be more you talking about like, here's what I learned. Here's what I like felt like I still need to learn, you know?
For this part here.
Yeah. Yeah.
So this one's different from the other one.
Uh-huh.
Okay. This is mainly just about the kid here then?
Nope, this is about you.
For this part it's about me.
Yes.
Okay. And then it tells
And it's just, use an APA, making sure you format it, spelling, grammar, all that standard stuff.
Does it sound like I need to put the subheadings for each section when I'm writing it?
I would. Yeah, I would. Just like how they have it in the elements,
Mm-hmm.
I would probably just use those as my subheading.
Mm-hmm.
Or like something similar. And, as you're writing, if you find a clearer way to do subheadings, totally great. But yeah, I would just go through each one of these elements in the order that they're given in the rubric
Mm-hmm.
and just like make it really clear, like, okay, here is my reflection. Here is me talking about the use of assessment data. Like just make it really clear when you're talking about what. That's always very helpful.
Okay.
Yeah, so do you feel like you have a better idea of how to organize this?
I think in some ways, yes. I think it was really just like what am I really kind of writing in each section?
Yeah. And
Because
take it
yeah,
like
uh-huh.
if you're like so go through it, what I would do is I would start with like a blank piece of paper
Uh-huh.
and write down each of these elements and then maybe write down some notes of what I'm thinking I could do.
Okay.
Like so for observations, before I even start writing out paragraphs, I would write, okay, here's all my like in bullet form. I'd be like, I took notes. I have a worksheet that we did. I have this. I have this, and like make a list of the things that you're going to talk about in that section. And then when you're actually writing it, it's a little bit easier because you can be like, okay, I'm just going to go through these and talk about them one at a time. And so kind of do that with each one. Like start with the element, like for instance, the introduction. Just like list out all those things. List out the child's age, pseudonym, family, cultural, like list out those, and then take that and turn it into a paragraph. It's like if the setting is their house, I would just put house at first. But then when I was talking about it, I'd be like, we met in the student's house. It was a very bright and well decorated house. The student felt very comfortable. But actually describe it.
Uh-huh.
But take it like one step at a time.
Okay.
Do
Okay.
you have any other questions on this, on how to like format this or anything like that?
Um. So the observation is just like what I did, and then not really want to explain here right, for this part. The observation.
Yeah, talk about what the different like things you did to record information.
Mm-hmm.
So I saw you had some pictures in your presentation. That's
Mm-hmm.
something you want to talk about. Like, oh, I took pictures of this, like this, blah blah blah. So yeah, this observation, you're talking about what you used to record information and record your data. And then the data organization and analysis and interpretation part, then you're talking about like oh, here's what I learned from this data. Here's what we learned about the kid.
From the element 4. Okay.
Yeah. So 3, it's like if you like had him do a written activity, then it's like that's data that you would talk about in the observation. Like, here's what we did, and here's how like he did this activity, and then the analysis and interpretation, you're going to be like, so on this activity, I saw that he really knows his numbers well, but isn't as good at spelling. This is what that could be, blah, blah, blah.
Mm-hmm. Okay. I think so. For now, yes, yes.
Yeah, just take these elements one at a time, and keep them separate, and and like make sure that you have each one answered well, and then you should be good. As long as like that's the point of a rubric is once you have all these things done. Oh, and also let's look at do you see the WT? That stands for weight, right?
What the oh, that one, yes, yes, yes.
Yeah. So let's look at what if you could scroll back up to the first page. Let's look at what is most important. Okay, so introduction and purpose are both one. So when I'm thinking of weight with these, like it's probably going to be how in depth I go. So you see how observations is 2, and data organization, analysis, interpretation is 3. So that's kind of what I was saying. It's like, yeah, in the observations, you're just talking about what you did, really, just kind of black and white. So that's not as in depth as the analysis. That's when you're really going to go in depth. So when you're going through this, look at the weight too. And that will tell you, okay, here's how in depth they want this. Let's go down to the second page and see what else is going to be in depth and what's not.
Okay.
So collaborating with parents, moderately, but then use of assessment data is more in depth. So it looks like the most important sections are going to be the data analysis and the use of assessment data. So what your teacher wants to hear a lot of is what you learned and what it means, basically.
Okay.
Cool. Yeah, and I see we're meeting again on Sunday, right?
Yes, yes.
Cool. How about if you try to have, even if you want to work on something else, try to have like a outline drafted for this.
Yeah.
That we could at least look over real quick.
Yeah,
even
yeah.
If it's 5-10 minutes. Like, I think that would help.
Yes.
All right. Any other questions you have, Mandy, while we're here?
I think I might be okay for now then.
Yeah. If you get that outline, then it'll be easier to be like, okay, here's where I'm struggling. Here's where I'm not. And then we can go from there too.
Yes.
All right. So I'll log you out for the day. I'm gonna say we met online, and we went over these. And what's this assignment called?
This one is like the what the rubric here said. It's the case study report.
Awesome. Anything else you want me to add to that?
I think that should be all.
All righty. Well, you have a wonderful weekend, and I will see you on Sunday.
Yeah, thank you.
Of course. Have a good day.
You too. Bye-bye.
Bye.